and then press the number 2 to stop the recording. So it's recording right now.
Okay, so I can't see it, but it's...
Right, yeah, you can't see it right now, but it is recording.
Okay.
For it.
All right. Okay, Bart?
Yeah.
Okay, we're ready here.
Okay, just a second. I had to brush my son's teeth or have it.
Okay.
Bedtime.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. What is it, about 7, 8 o'clock there?
Okay.
Oh, wow. I don't know how you got used to the change of hours. Okay.
Okay,
All right.
here we go. Just a second. Sun's still up here too, so that's good.
Let's see.
Ready?
Yeah, there's one. You're back. Okay, that's fine. And then I need to move this. It's fine. Okay, now we're cooking. Now you can move more in, move over just a little bit. Okay, right there. Right there is fine. Right there. Perfect. All right. Now I'm going to start, and then we're going to talk about several things, and I'm going to start the show, and then we're going to just interact. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. This is today's edition of a Modern Day Shaman with Bart Smyth from Sweden. And Bart, it's your show. Hi Bart, how are you doing?
I'm great, Deanne. Thank you. How are you?
Wonderful. My God, thank you for what you did this week. People, listen, I was in the hospital. And I really didn't feel like I was going to make it. I was feeling really, really bad. I had pain. I had problems breathing. I was having some issues with mini strokes. And I had talked to Bart, and he started working on me long distance. And the last few days since I've been out of the hospital, I've been walking. I use a cane, but I'm walking. I don't have the pain level that I had. My mind is clear. That was the thing that was scaring the heck out of me. My mind was in a total chaotic fog. And Bart, did you feel that when you were working with me, when you started there?
Well, yeah, but I mean, it was obvious. It was in your voice. There was a lot of fear. There was stress. And there was a lot of confusion in your system due to combinations of medications and emotional things. And anytime I felt it, but I heard it too. So.
Yeah, it's the most scariest thing, folks. Here sitting there, and nobody knows how a person feels when they tell you they're sick. You look at it like, oh, they're still moving around, so they gotta be okay. And a lot of times, in thinking that way, it doesn't occur to you until something happens to you, how that feeling is. And one of the most horrible feelings is the panic that comes over you. Where you feel your spirit is just lifting out of your body, like you're getting an out of body experience already because of the amount of pain you're in. Is that understandable? People feeling that they're going out of their body because of all this confusion and pain. Is that really something exists?
I know it does for me.
Yeah.
One of the benefits I come with is I've endured extreme stress and pain, and even one time a dentist did not get my tooth numb, and he started pulling it, and he still couldn't get it numb, but he pulled it so he had to continue. You gotta look out for what you wonder about. I always used to wonder. I wonder what did they do in the old days. I know the Chinese use acupuncture very successfully as a pain block. And anyway, I had a tooth pulled without any Novocaine affecting it, and I actually
Jeez.
left my body. Yeah, I left my body, and I was behind the dentist and myself watching this take place.
Well, that's just that's beyond remarkable. That's frightening. And then I have a friend. She's very very sick, and she's been operated on numerous times, brain surgery and stuff. And she now feels I can't even describe. I know how she feels because I'm experiencing pain. And the thing is that when you go through this, you just don't know of anything it can help you other than more and more medication, more and more pills, painkillers. And the effects of painkillers are really, really bad on people. It's not saying anything diverse about the medical um, folks out there. It's just basically that you have too many pain pills. The pain is still there, and the problem's still there. Correct?
Yeah. Yeah, we discussed this. My experience is the combination of medications, and then your friend's been undergoing a series of surgeries. That anytime you have a surgery, you have antibiotics to just as protection against infection, and this is to assist the body to fight off any bacteria, virus if possible. And the bad thing is, the good news is it can get rid of the necessary bacteria often, and they're becoming more resistant. In fact, in Sweden, I think 50% of the hospitals now have a bacteria that is non-affected by penicillin or other known antibiotics. So another one of my clients just went in for a surgery, a simple surgery, and now he's got a terrible infection. But the intestines, your body utilizes bacteria. We've got bacteria through our body that are positive, that are working to break down nutrition and get that into the cells. And so when that stops functioning in our small intestine and our large intestine, then we become backed up. And backed up means just like backing up your toilet. If it backs up, all the cellular waste from the nutrition that you're putting in your body backs up. And of course, the micro circulation in the brain and the size of the brain is limited with limited movement, so it's subject to this stagnation. And once you get into a loop of multiple surgeries and multiple medications, heavy metals are in the narcosis that they use to put you out. It's narcosis in Germany, I think, anesthesia. And so you get a compound effect, and then there's confusion. And you were talking about the fear and the panic attack, and I know that when the medications are causing you have a sense of loss of control. Wouldn't you say, Deanne?
Yeah. You feel, and then it's just so frightening because you don't feel like having control of anything, and then the pain is still there. You still feel a numbing pain. It's still there, and then you feel these kind of like prickly like feelings, and that's your nerve endings. That's what I felt it was. Maybe I was wrong, but I felt my nerves were just on edge.
Everything's neurological. So, yeah, it's that loss of control. And again, for me, the martial arts have taught me how to focus. And that's what I like to give people in all my trainings and everything is a way to focus. And in the scariest moments, even when I thought I was dying, in fact, I knew I was dying as far as I was concerned, I used that focus. And of course, I didn't die, but I went to a point And if you have the fear of death, which we all have, it's not that I wasn't afraid, but I really didn't have a choice at that time anyway. You know, when those things are going on, you are out of control. So the nice thing to do is to be able to have the ability to focus. And, you know, when we leave, we want to leave consciously anyway. And not be afraid of death as much as we've been trained to be afraid of death. I like to bring that into this. And I've never not been afraid of death unless it happened to me so fast that I didn't have time to think about it, which I have had those experiences in car accidents. So it's easy to talk about not being afraid of death, but to have a sense of the self beyond the experience, the physical experience, I think is important for all of us, and I think this is what's lacking even with the medical. Now they do utilize. I know Cornell University uses a healer that was a nurse that was hit by lightning. I read about her, and after she was hit by lightning, she had these healing capabilities opened up. Now Tai Chi and Qigong open these energy pathways for us. Reiki, of course, is a study that you can develop your healing powers with too. And the method I work with, really there's nothing to develop because the clientele is doing all their own work because we function like a computer. And really thoughts have energy and energy have thoughts. So again, what happened when you have confusion and your thoughts are going every which way, well, it's giving energy in motion, causing emotion, and it compounds onto what is already existing in the body, and that combined with the medications, panic can set in. But when we have the ability and the knowing that our mainframe computer, which is our midline here, can be thought about and strengthened, then this is ancient, but you apply that to modern computer technology combined with physics, biology, and anatomy. It's like, okay, we've got something that we can develop for ourselves, a tool that can help us, and that's really why I worked with you that night. For the weekend, I had that course up north. I wasn't able to be on the phone or Skype with you after that, but I did keep checking in with you at distance at the end and work with these systems and help with the confusion of the medications. But I guess maybe I'm rambling a little bit here, going off in another direction.
No, not really. The thing I want to ask you too. This is a thing that really bothers me a lot too. A friend of mine's in the hospital. A lot of people I've talked to, and a physician will come in when you're in really a bad disarray with your health, and they'll say something like, "You only have like 2 months to live, 6 months to live." And that affects you real bad. It's bad enough having all these little tingly feelings and feeling closed in and getting claustrophobia, anxiety, and at night, folks, too. By the way, when you get sick, night falls, your health gets worse. And I want to ask you, Bart, on these levels, do they have an idea exactly when you're going to pass on, or is it is that more up to, spiritually God, or what is it? They keep saying like you have like 2 months to live, 6 months to live, and that puts another level of panic on people. What is your opinion on that?
Well, it also programs your computer. You go into absolute. If somebody said that to me right now, I'd freak out. Maybe, but then I can share some experiences that I've had, both in China and with myself.
Mm-hmm.
When I was 26, I was rear-ended at a stoplight in Santa Fe, New Mexico, by a truck, and I landed okay. I was on my motorcycle. And so we launched, and I held on to the bike, and then I kicked it away in the air, and I landed on my back and bounced to my feet. But in the hospital, the doctor was checking my heart and things, and said, you know, when you're 55, look for a heart attack. And he said, by the time you're 55, you'll be in a wheelchair.
Wow.
So I had degenerative growth. I had degenerative growth in my spine from a ski jump I took way too high and straight up instead of out. And then I had I'd eat meat and smoke cigarettes, and I had the American diet. As a young man back then, I drank beer and other things, and mainly the cigarettes and beer, I would say, and hamburgers and French fries. So anyway, he said, look for a heart attack when I was 45. So I moved to San Francisco, became a vegetarian, did Tai Chi instead of external hard style martial arts. Eventually wound up macrobiotic, vegetarian, raw food, juicing, and then in about 1995 or the year 2000, I was 45. I was running on the beach in Sweden. I used to go, I do my Tai Chi for an hour and run sometimes. I'm running down the beach, and all of a sudden my arm starts hurting, and I feel like, oh God, it felt like a heart attack. And all of a sudden I remembered, 20 some odd years ago or whatever, this doctor saying, look for a heart attack when you're 45. It's my 45th birthday.
Oh,
And
jeez.
it was like, I go, oh yeah, that's right. From what I learned, it was a program. So I deleted the program. Boom, the pain in my arm left, and I continued running.
So it's kind of like programming you to die, or programming you to have this thought in your head.
Same, we always, if somebody ever tells me to drive carefully, I say, I drive crazy, so don't worry about it. Yes, I kind of count it, because if somebody says, oh, be careful, then all of a sudden you're okay, what am I, your computer starts going, okay, I got to be careful here. Well, if I have to be careful, what am I being careful about? Then I could create something with my mind. But one of the Taoist temples I trained at in China back in '94, our teacher was telling us, this was at the Kuan Yin temple, actually. It was way up in the mountain. We hiked up to it. And he was telling us that they don't diagnose cancer in China. They don't call it cancer. And they never diagnose anything anyway, because they said it increases, and they know that as soon as you diagnose something, it goes up something like the intensive situation can go up like 36%. So I think that's the number. Intensifies. So but we were told that, once the Western medical got into China and all the wealthy people go to Hong Kong or Beijing to a combination Western Chinese medical, then the scenario that he showed us was that they had a gentleman there that had ridden his bicycle 400 kilometers to go to this temple, and he climbed the mountain by himself, right?
Wow.
Spent all the money he had to get there, and they had this healing food there with mice on special, camels on special points, teas, herbs, foods, diet, and qigong, and meditation. And this gentleman was well in 2.5 months, and he went home. Another very wealthy man from Beijing, who only had 6 months to live, got driven across the country, carried up the mountain in a stretcher type chair on the shoulders of his laborers, and he had no investment in his health, and got there, but he said already in his mind he was dead. The master there, the monk, said it was the exact same condition that we just saw with this other guy. But this guy had been diagnosed and told he had cancer, would die in 6 months. So Chinese medicine, they don't tell you got anything. They say you're out of balance, you got heat, stagnation, things like this. But true. They're physical and energetic things that are going on, but this doesn't mean that you want to bring the mind in and create some added stress. And I think I don't think anybody's doing this on purpose. It's just ignorance and trainings.
I don't think it's done on purpose either. I think it is training, like you said. I think they are taught to look at, the mechanicals of what it is after you have chemotherapy. A logical amount of people that have died, from, the results of, chemo and transplants and things, and they just do an average. But like you said, it puts a program in your head like, oh my God, you wake up, like you said, on your 45th birthday and like, get scared. And, it's a frightening thing, to have somebody say that. And then the other thing I wanted to mention to you, there's a lot of things going on here in the United States. I don't know how bad it is in Europe and where you are in Sweden, if it's the same thing. The kids, young adults now feel as though it's no hope. They hope they'll see a future. A lot of suicides here in the United States. And there's a lot more use of alcohol and cigarettes and things. And I was wondering, is it a situation that, while they're in a state of drinking or, things that spirits from the other side are taking them over, and making them do, these things. I just was curious on what your opinion was of that.
Well, there's a couple of things there, and it's not really an opinion, it's my experience. But just a second, my son is coming just a moment. Yes, Sebastian. It's 10 o'clock at night. Do you want to watch a little more? Okay, I'll be in a... And then the movie is off.
Hi. It's cute. Streaker.
He's cute. That's Sebastian, my 5-year-old.
Okay.
I hope that's okay. Maybe you'll have to block that. Okay. I let everybody know my past history because, I grew up in LA. I grew up in Pasadena. Eddie and Alex Van Halen were friends of ours. David Roth. We all went to school together. They played on the weekends and we partied. And we had Vietnam, Kids say, they have this war in Iraq and Afghanistan, but they don't have it on TV anymore. They blocked all of what we grew up with. We had to see babies burning and then get told that that's where we're going. And so, when we would have a lottery call, we'd have a lottery party if nobody got called. And then friends got called. Then we had a lottery party for the friends that got called, a pie party. And so we never really expected to live too long anyway. And the whole thing about...
That's really hard to think about. Wow. I forgot they did have a lottery then. And they would go send you a letter, or what? How would that work?
Well, they'd call the numbers, and then you'd know your number if you had that number. That was on your card.
Jeez.
I mean, I was lucky, and I didn't know how lucky I was. My number was like 365, and they only called up to 74, I think. But I had a friend, Bill, who got called. But I mean, it was just one of these things. We didn't think about it. We didn't talk about it. I trained. I had friends that I trained with because my dad was military, and as I said, my dad would have killed me if I didn't go. And so I mean, literally, there was no room to not go. That was my duty, and he let me know that nobody wanted a World War II, but you didn't let somebody else go die in your place. So I agreed to go, and I didn't have to go, but I trained. And the only reason I'm saying this is I watched a generation. We were the younger guys. Our older brothers were going, but we just really lived in the moment. We lived full risk our lives back then and have a good time was rock climbing and surfing and dirt bikes and skateboards and shooting pool and pinball at the pub and drinking and partying. So and we had that huge rush of cocaine come on, like with the Johnny Depp movie Blow. We lived through that in LA. And you saw this whole energy grow, and I got out of it. I knew it was no good. I saw my friends going down, and there was no way to stop it. So I just left LA, but I kept the lifestyle up on weekends or whatever, once a month or whatever. And once I got well, I got into shamanic work. They had to exorcise demons out of me. And
Demons, really? Wow. Exercise
Sure.
demons? Why would you say that?
Because they did. I took all those medications, and then I drank alcohol and used recreational drugs once in a while. And these all come with information. And when you weaken your system like that, entities, thought forms, you call them demons. They're not like the demons maybe that you see in the frescoes, the Sistine Chapel or something like that. That's putting a lot of fear into people. But they're life forms that come in with the drugs and alcohol. And there's more to it, but I just, nowadays kids are taking these pharmaceutical drugs, which are a lot more distorting than marijuana and a joint of beer. And I didn't know that they had that going on, but I did. I think just know that there's no outlet in a cell phone, and there's no outlet in a computer. But you're riding dirt bikes, or you're up climbing rocks and stuff like that in nature. You're connecting with yourself and training in the martial arts and things like this. This kept me well and strong. I didn't know I had those things in me, but when the shamans got a hold of me, it was like, okay. I had a very exciting night, and I got well, and I do the work, and I've been doing it for a long time, and almost 17 years I've been, after I started working myself in that way. But I started in '87 to heal my life. I've seen so many people have these things come out of them, and not just with shamanic work. A lot of energy work gets these things out, and easier to get out these days. They don't have as much hold on, but I can tell you, I took some pain pills after a tooth extraction, and not the one with maybe it was that one. Yeah, it was. That's when I did that. Just pulled my tooth. I took some pain pills that time, and I wanted to kill myself.
Jeez.
For 3 days. And so I go, what's going on? I mean, I was serious wanting to kill myself. And through all my troubles and pain and suffering, everybody has thoughts of, it'd be easier to leave. But this was serious, and I thought, what am I doing? Oh, yeah, the pills. And I stopped the pills, and immediately that left the next day when I woke up.
You know what? You're saying that now. Now on television here in the United States, they have commercials that tell you if you take these drugs that it gives you a side effect that's suicidal. Give you suicidal thoughts and tendencies. And now that you mention that, that's real weird.
You gotta ask yourself, 5,000 people a year die from heroin and cocaine and marijuana. I don't think anybody dies from it. But they're making marijuana people now, and I'm not advocating heroin or cocaine or anything. But alcohol, cigarettes, and these other things are legal. So what's that about? So for me, it's ludicrous. And alcohol is a depressant. It's one molecule off of ether that they used to put you under for surgery. And although I wasn't alcoholic, I had the lifestyle. And what I could do is I could go a year without drinking, go to a super party, and drink with the guys, and I drink all night long with them. Went to a injuries sustained when I was a child falling onto concrete, and then subsequent injuries from skateboards and motorcycle accidents and things like this. I had a lot of trauma in my system, so it took all my training and all my good eating habits to feel what I know now to feel sub performer. Because now I've healed everything in after my last head trauma and injuries, I've healed everything. And I'm so far above functional that I was my whole life. But we don't know we have these traumas because we're still functioning. You know, I played soccer. They know if you hit the ball with your head, right?
Wow.
You got a brain.
Yeah.
You got a brain trauma. I played American football. My own teammates knocked me out in practice. You know, they forearm you or I mean, literally knock coal through your helmet. And we just get up and play the next play. You know, you'd have a concussion and you wouldn't even say anything to anybody. You just go, holy God. But you just, or I would, you know, I just thought, well, that's part of the game. Just like boxing and karate, I never got knocked out fighting that way, but I got knocked out and saw some bright flashes. And so when I drank alcohol, it just compounded the impedance of neurofunctioning in the brain and spinal column. And I was walking around depressed. And that's one of the blessings is I saw everybody else drink, you know, even 2 days in a row. I never would. I would just go to a party. That was it. You know, I wouldn't feel good. That would wait. I'd train and get myself back feeling well. But I realized I paid a big price for that. And then I realized when I saw the work done by my teachers and consequently the work I've done over the last 20 years, but helping and assisting, and now I do the work. These entities, thought forms, that come with alcohol and drugs, and things, they're there. You can see them once you know what to look for. I mean, I see them. I see them in the eyes. I see them in the energy.
So if a person looks at you, how can you tell if they, you know, have some type of possession like that?
Everybody's different. But the first way I tell is when there's a problem to connect with the client. They contact me and then everything, emails don't work, drop messages, mistakes on the calendar, things like this.
So that means that if that's something like that, another entity is blocking it. Is it an internal entity or is it an outer entity that's blocking them?
It's usually an internal.
So it's a fight within yourself.
There's a resistance, yeah. Nobody wants to change. And really, it's not like they show in the movies, and it can be like they show in the movies. But it's really about nobody likes change. And everybody's afraid of the future. They don't know what it is. So these forms, we're a life form. We're always going to change and upgrade. But we're afraid we're going to change and downgrade. I tell people, you know, the times that I did have a death experience, when I came back into my body, I thought, what did I do wrong? I mean, I was having a good time on the other side. It was beautiful.
Okay, wait. Let's stop there. What is on the other side? I hear many people talk about going out of their body, and on the other side there's a whole nother universe. Now, is that true that there is, or is it just something that people are seeing from memories they had in the past in their head? I can't hear you. You did something. I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. That's difficult for me to say. I can only tell you my experience. I've had two, and so it was just peaceful. And there was the one time I was in a magnificent luminescent light, like they described in theta healing. And we go there and she go. And it's interesting. I finally learned some theta stuff, and I've heard great things about it. he's actually very similar to an acupuncture qigong that I do. We do the same thing, but we're not calling it theta, but you get your brain waves down through the qigong state, and you rise to 7 stars and by rolling your eyes up and traveling to your fantasy or your imagination. But I was at one time in a very luminescent light, traveling very quickly and calmly, but it was just extremely, I guess I would express it as bliss and ecstasy. Just like, wow. And then when I came back into my body, I was in a lot of pain. But before I felt the pain, I could feel myself back in, and I was going, no, no, no. What did I do wrong? I thought I finally made it, right?
Uh-huh.
And then another time, there was just kind of like a darkness with a green hue to it, in silence, and it just felt like a deep meditation. And then back, it was like the same thing was, ouch, what did I do wrong? And so I think that, you know, I had read about near-death experiences, and I haven't experienced exactly what I've read or heard from other people's, but I'm not saying that I wouldn't be afraid if somebody stuck a gun against my head. You know, change in the unknown are what bring fear. So, anyway, with entities and life forms like that, it's very easy with the method I do to help clear those. And with the shamanic work that I was trained in time, it's like things slow down. You can see them in their eyes. You can see the difference in how the eyes function. It's like there's eyes behind eyes. I'm not trying to scare anybody either. It's how it is. You know? That's how I see it. And I don't go directly towards it. I respect all life. I respect all information. And I don't know the story of how those beings got there or how they were invited in or what they're doing. From my experience, people can ask for types of life. And that's really what alcohol and drugs are about anyway. People are trying to medicate themselves in a crazy world. I mean, it's like John Lennon said, I was reading this thing, watching this thing on YouTube the other day, it says, when you look at who's ruling the world, who's running the show, it's like maniacal, what's going on. It's crazy. And what's crazy is, I grew up in a time and a place where I was trained to be a soldier from the time I was a young boy, and somehow or other, I used to think that there was honor and dignity in all. And then, thank God I didn't go, but my changed my training, and I changed the food I ate, and all of a sudden I could feel my senses and make sense out of who I was in relationship to the world, then war and violence and drugs and alcohol didn't make any sense. And movies don't make any sense. TV doesn't make any sense. I don't own a TV. I haven't owned a TV since the first Iraqi war, when Tom Brokaw lied about what happened in San Francisco that day. He was my favorite news announcer, and I go, oh my God, it's a bold-faced lie. I was there. That's I threw my television on. So I'm saying this for the kids that are maybe thinking of killing themselves or having a hard time. You know, drugs, alcohol, TV, anything that's focused from the outside coming in isn't going to give you the information that you need. All the information you need, just like Jesus said, Buddha says, and all the masters have always said, it's inside all of us. And with what I teach, what my teacher gave me to teach, Dr. Yuan, many other wonderful teachers I've been with, men and women, extremely loving and kind, but I tell people my shaman was the bodyguard for the last living ninja in Japan. So he grew up like I did. He grew up in Chicago, and I grew up in LA, and we were tough guys. We were hardcore tough guys to save our life and save our families and friends. And he's one of the softest, amazing fighters I've ever known. But he doesn't fight anymore. He just, he sneaks up on birds and frogs. Use your skills to have fun. Are you there? Hello? Ian?
One other thing I want to ask you too, about this situation too with alcohol and drugs. You mentioned marijuana, and in the United States right now, they're opening the door for more and more marijuana to be available to people. Now that is, a drug as well, and you don't think that has the same effect as most of the other drugs and substances that they have? What is your opinion of that?
I think every drug and every alcohol has its place. I can just say this, I've never seen anybody smoke pot and want to kill anybody.
Okay, good point.
And I've seen so many times, I've been in bars or in a street party where all of a sudden a knife fight breaks out, or somebody's throwing a bottle against somebody's head, or they get in the car and they kill somebody. I really advocate that to know oneself through training is the only way I know. And I teach Tai Chi, and I teach each one, which came my way, and they don't look like much, but they're actually extreme. You build extreme power with it. But the power comes from integration and awareness and softness. And boy, there's just so much more to life. And if one needs medication, fine. I did go to a drug rehab to get educated as to what had happened to me with the pills I took. And boy, what an education I got. And I was there when Ozzy Osbourne showed up the first time. Well, I don't know if was in Hazelden. He didn't make it through the detox. But I was in there with movie stars, top surgeons in the world, uh, incredible drug addicts, beautiful people. And here I was, I would drink maybe once a month or something like that.
Yeah,
But,
it's a scary thing.
I kind of got lost there. What were you saying?
Oh, well, I was talking about the marijuana, situations on the rise here in the United States.
Oh,
And then there's another thing too. Now there was a report recently as well that they said young kids are getting medical marijuana, and they're getting a hold of marijuana, eating it in candy form and stuff. I don't know how that's going about, but then they said that they're coming to school, and they are surfacing reports that that's causing them to pull out guns and try to stab classmates and things like that. You think that has kind of connection to marijuana, or not really?
Sure. I mean, any marijuana nowadays is so strong. It's not like it was in the old days. And a very close friend of mine, I actually saved his life twice. He smoked pot for 30 years, and sun's going down here, sweet. Can you still see me, I guess?
Yeah, perfect.
And so what happens is there's a cellular function that marijuana has a benefit for. And when the cells switch and use the marijuana to do this function, then it becomes dependent upon that. And I don't remember what it is right now. I read about this, but I saw this happen in my friend, and he was a great musician. I mean, he was unbelievable player, and he still is. We saved his life twice. He got in a hot tub, and he got out and passed out and swallowed his tongue while I was there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then he had very bad brain damage and things like that from smoking pot for 36 years. So now he's okay. He's taking care of himself, quit eating red meat, and he quit the marijuana finally, and he regenerated himself with what I do on his own methods of meditation and all this stuff. But again, anything that you're putting in your body that's going to change your sense of reality, after a period of time, you're going to lose sense of who you are in relationship to your world. So, you can even meditate too much, though.
Well, let me ask you this too. Now, in Buddhist practice, in Buddhism, they chant, and does that help to relieve or release some of the negativities you feel in chanting?
Oh, yeah. Well, you know them from the Buddhists that they have a lot of they exercise demons all the time, and vibration and frequency from chanting is extremely powerful. I like to guide all my clients, and I tell everybody here, Dr. Wayne Dyer has a meditation on YouTube, and this is magnificent for creating a new life by focus and using the sounds. And he has another one. I am that I am. I am, comma, that I am that, comma, I am. With the Moses code, with the tones of the scale from, I guess, the Hebrew alphabet that would then relate to the number of the note in the scales, and they put that on there. And with great results, utilizing sound, frequency, and thought. And these things can be very, very wonderful in calming the system down and creating balance. Yes. And I did my first Buddhist retreat last year, and we meditated for 8 days. That was nice. 6 hours a day, 8 days. I needed it.
Wow.
It was amazing. Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this other question too. Children, don't you think they would be kind of in a better mindset if they do like yoga or some type of thing like that, to calm them down when they're, going into school. Maybe they should, introduce like classes for children. You told me at one time if you do your eyes like in a circular motion, it would do some positive things to your body. Can you explain that?
Well, yeah. The first question, yeah, yoga is great, and yoga might be a little more involved than what could be brought into the school system. What I did, down in La Costa, I did a course for teachers, and I taught them the standing Qigong meditation, and they did that with their 7-year-olds, the teachers, and the one teacher that did it the first day, her kids joined the other kids and went to the lunchroom,
Mm-hmm.
and they had the kids, and they stood for 5 minutes, and I trained all my kids in Qigong too, and they loved it. They just loved standing and focusing. And I remember my 9-year-old did it for 45 minutes with me one time. When we were done, I said, I just can't believe it. You just stood for 45 minutes, and she slugged me. She goes, "Don't ever have me do that again." She didn't know she had done it, but these kids went to the lunchroom and came back, and the teacher said, "What did you give your kids? Valiums?" They walked single file. There was no arguing or fighting. Nobody traded lunches. They just went and came back calm and relaxed. So, and that's just standing straight.
Can you show kind of that, or is that kind of hard for you to show here? Because we're doing this from Skype, and we have a visual of you. And the thing is, that's really cool, folks, is that now with the technology I have working with us here on the show right now, we can show him, in practice. So, this is great.
Well, I'd be happy to. I can tell the principals, and I'm doing this on my cell phone right now.
Oh, this is your cell phone?
Yeah.
Wow.
My son's watching a little video on my computer, so. So I can just tell you how to do it. Whether in fact, I go to I'll tell you what I'm doing on my website. You're going to be able to access this. I've actually got a DVD series that teaches Qigong and Tai Chi. I have a book I wrote, and my Qigong that I focus on. It's the most simple, but it's also one that can deliver the greatest reward, also with the least amount of effort. And I'll give that to you now, as best I can. If you went from where your ears were drawn straight up to the top of your head, we have a point there. It's called the Bai Wei point in Chinese medicine. And you can imagine that you're being pulled to the heavens by a silver thread, or I like to tell my students, if you're pushing a finger up, your head would lean, it would balance, and the chin would come down and back, slightly opening up the chin here, under your jaw. So this helps the stress hormones and blood to drain out. But you stand feet shoulder width, your head top going up, shoulders relaxed down, knees always slightly bent. You always have all joints slightly open, because a lock joint, it can be injured, it can be broken in martial arts. And B, it's promoting a sense of buoyancy and flexibility. And so as the head top goes up, the feet are shoulder width, knees slightly bent, and we feel 20% going up and 80% going down. And we have our central line here, and we take our mind, you can take your fingers under your belly button, 2 inches, 3 inches, 2-3 inches, and then into the middle of your body. And this is the Dantian. It's an energy plane. It's a point of focus. It's where our chi or our energy will gather. And then we take our tongue and we just let it come up and touch the hard palate behind your teeth. And this magically connects to energy pathways, positive and negative flows, which give you better integration and power immediately. And I did demonstrations of this. It's part of the magic of Tai Chi and Qigong. And so as your head top's going up and your tongue's on the roof of the mouth, energies settle down, and if you're in a wheelchair, you or bedridden, what I give my students and clients is just imagine your tailbone and feet were on the ground, and imagine that your tailbone grows to the center of the earth, or roots come out of your feet to the center of the earth, and out of your head top goes a silver thread, and then you just bring your mind, and you can take your fingers down your spine, just follow the thought down the spine to the center. Close your eyes, and if you're standing or sitting, you can imagine your head top going up, that your spine is straightening, stretching and straightening. When you feel it's very straight and supportive, and you just relax and watch your mind, watch your sensations, any thoughts, changing nothing, fixing nothing. We just see what is. And then we bring our mind to our center, our Dantian, or point under the belly button of the navel in Swedish and German, of navel, Deutsch. And the key is comfort. And this is the big difference. If we only do things that are comfortable to ourselves, really comfortable, I mean, again, that's training. I used to train, and comfort was to see how much pain I could take in my training. But watch our thoughts without changing a thought. But if I'm depressed or I'm afraid I'm dying or something like that, that's really all I do is I focus on my center. And I think that I'm strengthening myself each time without knowing how I'm strengthening myself. I know that I am because I know how it works. The body, the mind, and the energy work together, and we're integrated. Smooth, deep breath. You can feel the warm air going out when you exhale and the cold air coming in. Knowing that there's nothing to fix, nothing to change, nothing to do. You just see what it is and make the next most comfortable move and or thought. And then what's important is when we finish, we just in our imagination allow the energy to come back to our feet, to our stomach, and our hands and shoulders, and relax into our stomach. We can put our hands over our lower abdomen. Imagine that we have a little ball there that all our energy is gathering in. And when we feel centered and stabilized and balanced, and actually while I'm doing this, I'm sending some energy out that I can't help it anyway, but I just had thought I could send this up. Video to you, Deanna. Anybody listening? Yeah.
I want to ask you another question here, and I think this is really great. This is really good, I think, what we're doing here with the videoizing of the broadcast. One other thing, spirits are getting into people with alcohol and drug abuse. Does that cause a person to lose the ability to control themselves sexually? And also, does it cause them to the ability to, I notice a lot of people that are under the drug, alcohol abuse, they curse a lot, use a lot of profanity, and their mind is driven towards a sexual orientation more and more. Is that when spirits are hitting, or is that because they're the drugs and alcohol kind of more or less have drawn them into a trance-like state, and they don't realize what they're doing, saying? What is your opinion of that? I just noticed that there are a lot more people that are cursing and doing things that are just totally out of control now.
Well, yeah. So that question has so many possible answers because it's a compulsive action, and to say that, the sexual drive is in all beings. When you weaken your ability to discern what is best for you, right? Then we can fall prey to our senses. And but the other thing is we're raised with so much shame in the West about our bodies and sex and stuff like that. From my experience, it's been a compulsion to have that release so we can just function like normal beings.
Mm-hmm.
So it's funny over in Europe and my teachers from Israel and other places, they would share their points of view on sex in France, Sweden. I mean, it's no big deal. In the United States, it's like, holy God, it's the main focus. I won't say that. I don't like to speak in totality, but it's a big focus on marketing and everything else. And although they use sensuality over here, but it's done with a different energy, and I think a different response. I mean, in Sweden, women go to the beach without tops, and now everybody in the States will run over here. But when I first got here, I found that nice. And good time, take a sauna, everybody's naked, and you go to the beach, and it's just how it is, and it's just no big deal. But everything's training and everything's entrainment, and hypnosis is like, I just did this course, and it's something I'm going to be doing in Atlanta. It's called What to Do with the Rest of Your Life, and it's a technology where we get to see where our hypnosis is and what's keeping us in this in a pattern of not getting what we want. And we can get a lot of things. Like when I first did this technology in '95, it was a 4-year training to work with this, to give feedback and be clear on what you're seeing, so you can feedback to people what it is that they've been living and hypnotized with. And I shared mine. I was hypnotized to be a soldier and a warrior and all these other things. But when we actually get to see what brings us joy and pleasure in life, it's usually not even close to what we thought it was. And that's how it was with me. And as my teacher shared with us, the gentleman that started this work, Martin Sage, he talked about an experiment with kittens where they put goggles on them that turn the world upside down.
Mm-hmm.
They left them on for 2 weeks, and then the brain adapted to that, and they had to have those goggles the rest of their life because the brain trained itself to see the world through those goggles.
Wow.
And so just think about it, Here I was raised in a soldier's house. I have friends that were raised with parents that were not in the war and were sports people and healthy. My dad had his scotch and soda every night, and cigarettes. These other kids had a completely different experience and created completely different lives, and we were all as well educated and had the same capabilities, but we had a different upbringing, and it's so important, And then we're doing a thing here. We had Kaisa Ballstrom on, and I'd like to bring her back on again. She's written a book about boy and girl genderization, and now with the advent of the ability to tell the sex of the baby with ultrasound, people are programming their babies to be football players. Oh, you're going to be the best football player. Like, he's like a sweet little girl, and they're already programming the babies in the belly. And it works. I mean, there was one guy that was on Johnny Carson years ago, I remember seeing, and he was doing drum rhythms on his flight. He was a drummer, and he was tapping out drum rhythms on the mother's belly. Mm-hmm. This kid at the age of 7 smoked Johnny Carson on a set of drums. I mean, he was amazing. Johnny Carson just fell out of his chair. He couldn't believe it, but he was already a drummer coming out. So we're programmable. We're able to be hypnotized and trained. But the spirit and the DNA and the intention that we come with is freedom. And that freedom will come out one way or another. We try to access it with drugs and alcohol. We do it in many different ways. Even sex is a path to freedom, right? You can have that sense of I'm in control of myself, my life, and things like that. And I think that's what all this is about, because we can feel out of control. And we're living in a system that is maybe 400 or 500 years old, that was built for a system of man going into the new age, so to speak. And now you see people turning back and wanting to be farmers and live on the land and treat the earth and have a simple life. All these technologies they're fun, sure, and they've enhanced our life, sure, but does it fulfill our life? Is to give us a sense of fulfillment, and that's what I've learned to see for myself. If it's not fulfilling for me, I drop it pretty quickly.
Well, I got to say, and this is the end of this segment of this broadcast, and it was great, working today with you, Denise Black. She was not able to come on as your co-host, but we'll be back the next episode, and I want you to speak to the audience about what they will see next from Bart. What's coming up next? On your website, your travels. What's going on?
Well, actually, next week I go to Germany. I've got courses in Germany and clients down by Kaiserslautern and Bodensee. But I'm going to be scheduling, coming to be with you and work with you in Chicago. Yeah, I'm very excited about that. My family's from Kalamazoo, Michigan, and I know Chicago well. But I'm going to Atlanta. We'll be doing the UN method course there, the basics, and then we're going to come up and do presentations in groups. People call them group healings. I like to call them group tune-ups. People can get very powerful results at these, both online. Of course, we're doing the online work. I don't know if you've been able to get to that yet, Deanne. People can go to my website, www.moderndayshaman.net, and sign up. We're doing online group sessions where you can get some assistance. For those who have been on that before, we've gotten great reports, and I'm telling everybody, just go ahead and get your friends on, and we will be charging for this in the future. And also, you can train with me online, and you can come to Atlanta and other places where I train. And I'm not the only teacher of this. I've been doing it for 20 years. I enjoy it. I've got a lot of experience. But there's other places you can learn the method. I bring different. Of course, I bring my path, my experience. Then we're going to go to Las Vegas. We're looking somewhere around 4th of July, going towards August. We're trying to pick those dates right now. I'm thinking, as we were talking earlier, maybe it's going to be like after the 25th, but it could be before in Las Vegas. Sorry to be unclear on the dates, but I would like to advertise another thing that's happening. We live in one of the most beautiful places in Sweden. We have a great place, and we're going to be putting together a training here. We're going to have Sweat Lodge with a guy who trained with the Sioux Indians for over 20 years, and it's going to be Tai Chi. It's going to be energetic medicine, energetics, Qigong, diet. We'll be able to show people wildlife here, and also we're going to take them down to Stockholm. They'll have a couple days in Stockholm too, one of the more beautiful cities here. So these are some of the upcoming dates. dates will be on my website. Thank you. And thank you very much for tonight, Deanna. It's great. I hope we can do more of these on video. I don't know what I look like, but
You look great.
nice in the sense that I can connect with people and they can see me and hopefully have a better connection.
Yeah, I think this is going to be what we're going to start doing because I think this is going to work out really well. And then we're also going to bring this on to iPhone technology. So, folks out there, if you're carrying your phones, you're going to be able to pick up Bart on your phone and on your tablet and see him
Okay.
here.
You know what I'd like to offer is maybe next week, our next show, I can get Kaisa, but also we could have some callers come in and I can work with them and they can experience the work online if that's possible.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're going to work with that.
We'll do it okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, everyone. And give your website one more time, Bart, before we close.
Okay, it's amoderndayShaman.net. amoderndayShaman.net. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. And
Thank you.
have a good night, even though it's like, what is it, 12 o'clock here?
Yeah, I don't know if you can see the sun. It just went
Oh,
down.
my God. It's beautiful there. Oh, so peaceful. Wow.
Yeah, nice little farm community. Pretty soon we'll have the sun all night.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye. And this concludes the Modern Day Shaman. We will have next episode coming up next week, and thank you for tuning in. This is the Detectors Radio Network, and this is Leanne Burley. Thank you for tuning in.
And how are you?
Okay, Alfred, it's Deanne.
Yeah, right.
Hey, I wanted to ask you. I'm live online now. Hey, Alfred, how are you? Hey, I just wanted to. I have this going as a video. Hope you don't mind.
No, that's fine.
And I just wanted to get from you anything that's going on right now with Japan that you might know of that we need to be alerted to.
Well, yeah, let me get that for you. By the way, here's the live feed from American Spring in Washington. Hold on, let me get that for you. Here's that. You know, the thing in Washington today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's that militia thing. Okay.
Okay, it's not coming up. I'm getting an error message.
I just put it in there in your
EA book.
in your inbox.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I got it right here.
Okay. Now, with regard to, hold on a second, let me just get that. With regard to Japan, hold on, I want to get you the latest. Let me see if I can get that. to get something on video.
Uh-huh.
Listen, I'm going to hang up and I'll put a link in your chat, okay?
Okay, but I just wanted to find out, is there anything we need to hear from you, Alfred, for this segment of my broadcast that's really important that people need to be aware of right now?
Yeah, right now, deaths and mutations are going up.
In Japan, or is that worldwide?
I want to send you science so that you're reading from it, and it's not hearsay.
Okay,
Okay, I'm going to hang up now.
okay. All right, so I'll be looking for that information and I'll provide it to my listeners. Okay?
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. And this is Alfred Weber with ISIS, and he is one of the top guys in the Patriot community doing the work. And he's talking about what's happening in regards to all the radiation that's coming in from Fukushima. And we have Andrew Johnson. I'm going to call him right quick to see if I can get him on. He's the legal expert. I guess I cannot get him on right now. But we had a pretty good show here, and we will be back on another day with the broadcast of the Deanne Burley show and the other broadcasts that we do aligned. And we need your help if you can, if you want to volunteer. If you want to become a partner, let me know and let us connect and let's do real live broadcasts. Thank you very much.
Or USB? Oh, one of the save on?
Just for a while, because I got to leave for a minute.